week, everyone. This is Nichel Anderson. I'm your host for my podcast show, Surviving Your Journey Towards Success. Thank you so much for joining me today. This right here is going to be very important. It's talking about why change is important in the workplace. So we're going to dive into that. This is my episode 120. Okay. So for those that are joining me for the first time, I have written a book, Corporate America, Surviving Your Journey Towards Success. I do ask you to check that out. If you do purchase it on Amazon or what have you, to leave a positive review if you love it. If you love it, share it. All right. Do you have any questions regarding this podcast? Go ahead and reach out to me at info@nichelanderson.com. You can also follow me on Twitter and Facebook. All right. So, and that's facebook.com, Nichel Anderson fan page. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my prayer today. Is in this day, I'm thankful to the prime creator of all things that I give. Thanks for this blessing and opportunity that I will use it for the greater good. So welcome to my survivors of the journey, to my podcast that aims to inspire and motivate that you will continue to have joyfulness in your heart, peace of mind, and for your sustained success. So with this here, we're talking about why change is important, all right? And the key of this is acceptance. In the workplace, it's hard to one method of understanding and then not the next. So change is important. Just to get to that point right quick, for our main ones, is that change allow for a new perspective, and it opens up an opportunity to be able to see things in a different way and to accomplish the goal that's set out that can expand into a new horizon. And that's a good thing. Sometimes change in the beginning might not feel that it's all that gelling, I used to say, or connecting, and that might take time. So if you have the right team involved to monitor that, it can be a wonderful thing. And sometimes change can be impactful that people are just not ready to accept it. So you have to make sure you put that timing in there. So let's go ahead and get into this here. So let's start my podcast. And the first part, the important point, is that change in the workplace with efficiency is a primary objective can render huge gains in less stress and better team productivity. Change in personal life, the person can sufficiently present their ideas of decision making when it's honed on referring to that they are owed respect. And with that, the other person will have to accept that, right? So they can get their full understanding and peacefulness and together in a relationship. So when we look at the wisdom point number 2, I have here that change is the ability to move forward that reinforces the power of creation and innovation for a balanced outcome. So all of that, what that means is that change must move forward. We got to compare that like time, right? So time goes forward. And by doing that, it forces those that don't want to move that you got to move. Those that don't, that's the insanity. So we get to this part here. My next segment is the top 3 things why change is important. The first part is that besides of getting bored with the ordinary, the aspect of change empowers the mind to create something new. And actually that really excels the old into the future. So as I mentioned earlier about time forces us to accept what it is. So let's say in a way that technology, when it came out with Apple, it actually forces the ordinary into extraordinary and had a creative idea to give people a more luxury experience communicating. It was an upgrade. So that's why it's important, because it takes from the old and brings something new. Don't forget about the old, but reinvent itself to something extraordinary. The other part I want to talk about why change is important, number 2, is basically change is a level of acceptance. When things change with time, we must adapt. So the mind must accept something new while the heart might still be tied to it. So in this example, in a relationship of love, your heart is the last one to actually say, I'm so done with this. I want something better. And so change is very hard. So you have to be able to approach change as a phase of time, like a season. Sometimes that season could be long, sometimes it could be short. The understanding of it allows you to heal more faster and more appropriate for you, for your spiritual growth. Number 3, change when the new is superior perspective that can enhance your life, to make it more better, what have you, in a new location or a superior product, gives you and your mind something good to look forward to, something good to enjoy. So with that, that's motivation, that's encouragement. That's why change is important. It gives all that good stuff that if it's communicated right, it's wonderful. I worked for a company and they took the process of something major was going to change, and they took a whole month to communicate that. So basically they gave everybody, every employee, the opportunity to process it in a more loving way. So bottom line, change in the workplace is hard because once you get a process done, it is very difficult to move from one point to the next. And you just have to kind of give people that time and understand it's a huge, important aspect of that. And when you do that, you become that stellar, prestige leadership that I coined, right? So let's see here. Let's get to your task to dusk to dawn. Number one, you want to write down 3 things where you often don't really like to accept change, what type of scenarios that are. Number 2, you want to formulate a new response to change, either in your work or personal life. This will help you to demonstrate the process acceptance, which is key in change. So overall, what I'm saying is that everybody is different. The goal is to go in a way that you're able to accept it. And don't get me wrong, there could be some changes like, you know what, I'm not going to accept that. And you just process it. You be grounded with it and you move forward. I'm actually just talking about in this podcast where change is important because it allowed the growth to expand, for the upgrade to produce the greater things of the innovation of it. And when we think of it that way, you see the results and you get the goodies from that. Everybody does. And that's the good thing. And it helps us to accept the things that not anymore. It's something new. All right. So your motivational takeaway today is that change offers us a lot when it's a good thing that produces an outcome that serves you as well as others. Acceptance, as I said earlier, is the key of life. Change to me is just like time, and in time, everything kind of flows, even though when you're going through something and or maybe it's a rough spot in the sense that you can't really get anything moving, and all of a sudden something new and innovative happens, and it makes that once very difficult process or what have you more better. It's like a peace of mind, and that's a good thing. So I hope you learned something today. I hope you're able to take something away from this and look at it in a different way and see how important it is. I hope that you connect it with time and how that is a process, but we get through it and we learn from it. All right. If you have any questions about this particular podcast or you want to connect, do so at info@nichelanderson.com. And remember, that's N as in Nicholas, ICHEL, Anderson.com. And guess what? I'll talk to you in the next one. Thank you.